So we've been talking all month, and we're going to continue to talk about the church. And my title for the month again is God Has Left the Building. That includes some pastors, and I'm going to talk about one of them in just a minute on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. Steaming up my glasses. It's hot. So here's the question for today. Dear Pastor Bob, I've actually enjoyed the quarantine. If you're watching this later, we're in the middle of the quarantine right now, and actually the end of it, and my time away from the church. It seems like many of my relationships there are very toxic. Some people who pretend to be your friend stab you in the back when you least expect it. They seem to make up things to be upset about and complain about. I'm really having a difficult time wrapping my head around going back into this very difficult environment. I feel very alone. And by the way, I'm the pastor. Yeah, I know this person. This is tough, isn't it? And there are so many churches that, we talk about the people in the church, but sometimes pastors in denominations and different churches that practice the spectator sport only find themselves in this very difficult place where they're potshots. Everybody's, seems to have something against them, and it continues and continues and continues. And this is the difficulty of a spectator sport organization. And by that I mean when you go to church, you listen to somebody talk, and then you go home, which was never what church was designed to be. So this isn't a game, folks, and people play it like a game, and they play it like it's okay to, to have dissension, to speak ill about people behind their backs, to stir up a lot of disagreement. And it's not okay. It is not okay. So this is the difference between church as people and church as a building. And once again, you know what I'm going to hold up? If you don't have this yet, please get it. This is a building. This is the church. And folks, until we understand the difference, we won't have successful churches. We won't go out as a united front. Now that's the thing that I'm really concerned about for this friend. As a pastor, he ought to have people who have his back. People that we call elders and deacons and maybe associate pastors and all of those people that are supposed to have his back. So I've been in ministry for a long time, and when you watch other people doing our family chats, for instance, most of them I have worked with for decades, long time. The people that are on my immediate staff, basically, the people that do the podcasting and some of the broadcasting as well. But these are people that I honestly talk to almost every single day. We talk about ministry. We talk about people that we're reaching. We talk about you in a good way. How can we help you? How can we encourage you? How can we make your life easier? How can we connect you with the Lord and give you some stability that'll help you to go out and to grow? It's really important. So that's what this is all about. And, if some dissension comes up, we stand as a united front. There's nobody's going to come at one of us with dissension about the other person, because we don't do that. We played those games long ago and we're done with those. So it's really important that we stand united and we stand strong. Well, this is the way the church is supposed to be. And the reason we do that is because we know each other. We've worked this out. We've done church together, this kind of church. And we talked about spiritual gifts the other day, and when I look at my staff, every spiritual gift is there. Wow, what a great balance, huh? I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. So a united front, that's important. And church is something that we're supposed to be supporting each other, not tearing each other down. And when you fall in love with each other, that's what happens. And there is a huge difference between disagreement and dissension. Disagreement doesn't have to end in dissension, although it can. But it's not supposed to, and we shouldn't let it get there. So there's a list of the fruit of the Spirit in Galatians 5 we go through all the time. It's followed by a list of the fruit, well, not necessarily fruit, the acts of the sinful nature. And one of the acts of the sinful nature is dissension. And it's really referring to people who don't disagree very well. They're not able to disagree very well. They don't know how to take something that they disagree with and present it in a positive way to get resolved. And community is destroyed even when sin isn't even an issue. It's this problem that you don't know how to disagree well. Now, let me just say, disagreement can be healthy. Really can. It's actually something that can bring people closer together. And once you resolve something that's a disagreement, you gain understanding, you gain respect, you gain support. It actually can make you stronger. But then there are the dissensions and the disagreements that tear the community apart. And I feel badly for this pastor, and I would tell him that please don't do it the same way you have been. Figure out ways to do it other than a spectator sport, and realize that you are part of the body as well. You don't have a special lonely place. It's not what you're all about. And there's a few things I've done in the past when I felt like this was a problem. One time I actually took the chairs, who were kind of set at a little bit of an angle like this, and the front was here, and I turned them all to face each other. So this group of people were facing this group and vice versa, and they could all see each other, and I just sat at the corner, and I involved everybody. Whether I was teaching or not, people could raise their hand and ask questions if they needed to. They could have comments. And then there was a special time of breaking down into smaller groups, and people were in the same groups. Because it's a great way to grow when you're in the same group and you get to know each other really well. And you see, things like that will cause a lot of unity instead of dissension. When people become friends, they're not as apt to speak behind somebody's back. So this is a big problem with the church today, and I've watched many churches, including my own, that are ripped apart from time to time by people who don't know how to disagree well, and they cause dissension. So don't be one of those, by the way, and don't be a part of a body who just, there's no unity there, because this is what happens in a spectator sport. And I feel sorry for pastors that have to put up with this. And sometimes the very loneliest people in the church isn't necessarily that guy that's sitting in the back in the corner. Many times it's the pastor. Just saying. Well, my podcast is short today. That's all I wanted to say. But I want to encourage you that as we move into this once again, and as we begin to fill up our church buildings again, some of you will do that. Some of you will start having church at home or wherever you have it. This is a good thing to remember. The stronger and more united you are together, the less you have dissension, because when there's disagreement, people have a positive way to present it. All right. Well, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.